How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, this is going to be a bit of a long video. And some people may disagree with the things I'm going to say. This incident that happened to this unquote Coon really had stood out to me. The events that happened to him last year, 4th of July. And you'll fully understand what I'm talking about, the journey that I'm going to take the royal family on. And this is a true, unquote, nigga moment. And I want to say that the things that the enemy are doing to him is totally wrong. But I have very little sympathy for him, because when I had researched him last year, I seen that, he was surrounded by the enemy, and the incident that happened to him physically, that was not what really broke him. He was broke in another way. And y'all know I'm going to milk it for all it's worth. And I will point out what really broke him. And he could have literally lost his life. And this is a clear example of these coons do not know the danger that they are in. I often say we are in a war, and you got to always be alert. I often talk about when the enemy gets an opportunity, everything that they're doing, that is what they're supposed to do when they get an opportunity in this war. They fully understand what's going down. But a lot of our folks don't want to separate from the enemy, and they so hung up on pointing out, I'm a good guy, I'm a good woman, I'm your friend, and all of that. And they literally can be lynching you, and you're hollering out that I'm good, I like white people, and all this kind of craziness. You're playing with danger. It's like this sister had went to a sleepover at some white people's houses. Grown woman, married with kids and everything. She come up dead. She was assaulted. Wasn't no arrest or nothing. You sleeping in the enemy house. So the stuff that's happening to him, this need to happen to make him realize you playing with fire, brother, a so-called brother, and you need to get this unquote nigga moment. This is an example to the ones out there that are coons that keep playing with danger. So even though they wrong as hell, I don't have a lot of sympathy. So I know some people not going to agree with me, and I don't trip. We can mix it up like that. Please don't ever on this channel say what I want to hear. Be true to thyself. I really want y'all to do that. Be true to thyself when it comes to this channel. I don't care how long y'all been supporting this channel and all that kind of stuff. I'm not on that. You have freedom on this channel to be true to your nature. So I'm going to take y'all on a journey. But the first video, I got 3 videos that I'm going to play. But the first video I'm going to play is the incident itself, to show you the immense danger this fool was in and how he got down and how he handled it. that child need to put some clothes on.
Sean, let him go. Sean, let him go.
We're just trying to get out of here, guys. We're just trying to get out of here.
Let him go. Let him go.
Let him go, dude. Let him go. Let him go. Please, let him go. Please let him go. We're going to as soon as you let him go. I'm going to.
Guys, get the fuck out of here.
Let him go.
Get your phones out here and go.
Let him
Shake
go.
your head at me
Let him
and
go.
go. Get the
Let
fuck
him go.
out of here.
I know.
Just
I
like
have no
all you
problem.
were,
I have no
fighting
problem.
against us.
I know.
Just like you guys invaded us. You guys invaded us. We were having a great time and you invaded
No one
us.
invaded you.
You stupid fucking liberal fucks. That's what you get. Take your ass on.
Are you okay?
Oh yeah, hold your heart, you little fucking bitch.
I know. You are so amazing.
Come on,
Thank you
ass.
for saying that.
In a Star Wars.
You're worse than the police.
You happy about this?
You're totally worse than the police. The police would be better.
You happy about this? You fucking nappy-headed bitch. You happy about this?
What do you really want to call me?
Do it. You nappy-headed bitch.
What do you want to call me?
Happy about this? You with your 5 white friends? You happy with your 5 white friends? You guys started all this shit. Fuck you. Put it in your fucking film, bitch. Film it all. Fuck you. Come over here and get it. Come over here and get it. Film it.
This sucks. This sucks both ways, guys.
Come over here again.
This sucks both ways.
No, it doesn't.
Come on. Come on, Lucy.
Is this what you wanted? No. Is this what you guys came down on private property for? Take a picture of everyone in North Carolina. Now the mistake is you guys stay down, and this motherfucker don't want to join us. No, I'm gonna you and I stay here. And let's let these guys know that they don't want that. Bullshit, you got no business here, motherfucker. It's our 4th of July. Our Independence Day, we're having fun. You want to ruin it?
No, what's up? So this car's too.
Oh, yeah? Well, stay the fuck off our property, you dumb fuck. Fine.
Not on your property now.
Oh, well, do something then. Do something then.
Not trying to go
I'm right
there,
here,
buddy.
baby.
Not trying to
We're
go
on
there.
my fucking property.
This is private property. This is public property.
Let's do this.
Now, I want to freeze that for just a minute. You feel the level of demonic energy, very intense. And when you would think, because I always talk about the nature of things, you would think what they had just did to him when they finally let loose, that he would have took off. You see, he done pissed on himself. They ain't playing. But see, he hung up on something. He real hung up on something. He's sitting up here trying to have a intellectual conversation. And a lot of these coons will try to do that with these uncouth motherfuckers. But like I said, I don't have no sympathy for him. Very little sympathy. Even though what I'm saying, the other aspects of it, they totally wrong. But check his actions. There's a reason why he is disturbed, and it's not, again, about what physically happened to him, because he wants to be recognized for something, and it's not being computed in his psyche that you could be killed in a millisecond. So you need to get your ass up out of there and stop trying to have a reasonable conversation. They put hands on your ass. They injured his ass. As we continue on.
Here. Now we're here, baby. I'm gonna walk this shit out.
You can do whatever you want. I really don't care. I'm not a bad person.
Wait, it's a bad, yeah.
The boundaries come out of this.
Trust me.
Documented?
Just like the rest of you liberal fucks.
I'm like, and everybody.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Jerry. Go. Jerry.
Do what up, motherfucker?
Jerry, you're no longer.
He's a person, dude. Oh, he's a person.
He's a
I know. Just like
Just keep
when you came down and invaded us. Just like when you guys invaded us. You guys invaded us. We were having a great time and you invaded us. Invaded you stupid fucking liberal fucks. That's what you get. Take your ass on.
They piss all over him.
I'll draw a line right here.
Okay.
You keep recording you
That was so unnecessary.
Oh yeah, you hard, you little fucking
I know. You were so amazing.
Come
Thank
on
you
out.
for saying that. But that was so
All right.
unnecessary.
Okay.
There's a better time and place to address that. That was not the right time and place. So go. I just want my dog. I'm sorry.
You can have the dog.
My dog. Well, thank you. It's my dog.
I don't want you to feel intimidated.
Nothing's
That's
gonna
what I'm
happen to your
Okay.
dog. Your dog's
saying. Yeah, no one's gonna do anything to you.
Come on, buddy.
Don't get to me. I'm gonna punch right in your fucking face. No,
Let's just.
no, you guys crossed the fucking line. This guy's gonna be cool. You guys crossed the fucking line.
Yeah.
Then go. Then go.
Okay.
Then go.
All right, Max.
Hey,
This
join
side.
somebody else's side if you're not happy with that.
All right, Max.
Let's go. Come over here and hang out with us. Let's
I don't-
Bullshit. You threatened me.
I have to
You
you
know
guys
that.
waste your slow, you guys.
You told nobody did.
Somebody coming up behind you, I don't know.
And you totally threatened me. And you said I'm gonna spot all kinds of shit.
Hey,
on
somebody-
you.
Hey, where's we going? There's somebody behind you. There's somebody behind you.
Tape it all you want. What do you think is gonna happen? Videotape it all you fucking
Oh,
want.
there's some. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, I'm from Atlanta. Fucking videotape it all you want, you
You
bitch.
come up here and start it, you fucking motherfucking liberal bitch.
Let's go. Let's go, guys.
You really started this, and that's so
You really
unfortunate.
did start it. You started the whole
You
fucking
happy
thing.
with all your white
You
fucking
started all of
friends?
it.
All your white friends, you're happy about this, right?
He provoked
You
it.
little
He totally
bitch.
started.
You started
Come
all
back
of
on
it.
this side. Come on,
County official, right
come
here.
walk this
And
way.
he totally provoked it.
County official, right
Come walk
here.
this
You
way.
are
Come on. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's
You're
go.
worse than the police.
Let's go, please. Let's go.
Totally worse than the police. The police wouldn't even provoke
You
this.
happy about this? Fucking
Please.
nappy-headed bitch, you happy about
So
that?
now,
Please.
Fucking do it.
You
Please.
nappy-headed bitch.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's not do that. Let's not.
You with
you
your
know what
five
I'm
Don't,
white
don't say that.
friends?
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm
Please.
gonna say,
You happy with your
you are
five
a
bullshit.
poor
You
county
guys
official.
started all
I
this
wouldn't
shit.
say.
Okay.
You totally
You
started
put
this
it
on
in
the
your
foot
fucking
of
film,
You
bitch.
used your
Film
power.
it.
Okay.
When you
Film
said
it all.
abuse
Okay.
of power.
Okay.
So go.
Okay, we're going.
Use your
Film
power.
it.
Let's go.
This sucks. This sucks both ways, guys.
Go.
This sucks.
Go.
Let's go. Please go.
No, it doesn't.
Go. Do not abuse your power again, motherfucker.
Get the fuck out of here.
Guys, just keep leading. Just
She's got something else to say. I want to get it. Yeah.
You ever do that to me again? You don't know who I am. You don't know who my family is.
All right, my royal family. Now, let me get over here. Now, that last part was that key part where he said that he's a county official. And he think because he got that little piece of position that, he feel like he is on the level of the enemy. He throws that around because when he got that position, his head swole up even more. And he's hurt to the core because he's not being recognized for his unquote position. It doesn't matter what type of title we have. They will never respect us, and I don't give a damn if they respect us. And some of the things that the enemy say to us, we really need to listen. He's all casual, talking to the white woman, talking about, oh, we're not going to do nothing to you, and all this kind of stuff, like he got some kind of motherfucking power. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show an interview that they had with him last year, and pay attention to his body language and how this has affected his psyche. This is really deep. And then I'm going to bring y'all into the present.
This is Democracy Now!, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we go to Indiana, where authorities are investigating a violent racist attack on an African-American man that took place over July 4th weekend. It was caught on film. But more than a week later, no arrests have been made in response to the incident. A warning to our viewers, this story contains disturbing images. Vox Booker was at Lake Monroe near Bloomington, Indiana, in the Indiana State Forest with friends on July 4th when 5 white men pinned him to a tree, beat him, threatened to lynch him. Booker is a member of the Monroe County Human Rights Commission in Bloomington. He says he was able to get out of the mob's hands after passersby intervened to get the attackers off him. Last week, Vox held a news conference with his attorney, local elected officials, and 2 of the white witnesses who intervened on his behalf during the attempted lynching. This is a reporter questioning one of those witnesses, Stephen Cox.
Fox, had said multiple times yesterday that when they were holding him down, calling for a noose, threatening to harm him, he truly thought that they were trying to kill him. As someone who was an outsider, kind of able to see all the moving parts of this, did you also think that it was a possibility that Vox might not make it?
Yes. When they called him, you can leave the boy here. You guys can go, but you can leave the boy here. So the white people could go, but they wanted us to leave him there and to do what they wanted to with him. I don't think anybody could do that in good conscience. I'm not a fighter, so I'm like, but I wasn't going to leave. But it was scary. I mean, probably the scariest thing I've ever seen.
And this is a reporter questioning another white witness, Brennan Golightly.
In your opinion, if you all, the other people that were there as well as yourself that had their phones out there with Vox, if you were not there, do you think the situation would have ended differently?
I think it would have ended very differently. I also feel if it was me or any one of our other campers, that wouldn't have happened. That's just my personal feeling of the situation. I do think because of the color of Vox's skin that this happened to him.
The FBI is investigating the attack as a potential hate crime, and Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton has condemned it in a statement. But Vox Booker is now calling on the U.S. District of Southern Indiana to convene a grand jury to take up the case. Vox Booker joins us now from Bloomington. Welcome to Democracy Now! I'm so sorry to hear about what happened to you. Can you describe it was July 4th?
It was July 4th, the nation's Independence Day. I was simply trying to gather with a group of friends to watch the lunar eclipse.
You walked into Indiana State Forest?
Yeah, we just made, our site was just about a short 10-minute hike in. A friend and I, we were going to go meet a group of others. On our way in, we were confronted by a man who was wearing a oversized cowboy hat with a Confederate flag print on it. We were cordial enough, and continued towards the site. A moment later, he pursued us on an ATV, told us we were on private property. I knew we weren't actually on private property, but rather than have some type of confrontation, we just simply apologized and continued to our site and spoke to the organizer. From there, we didn't know what would escalate later.
So you went to your campsite, and what did the person who ran the campsite tell you?
So he informed us that this gentleman actually wasn't the property owner, that he knew the property owner. So from there, we just went ahead and advised the rest of our group that they should take the public access way of the beach so there wouldn't be any dispute at all. Shortly later, some of our group joined, and they had informed us that these gentlemen had set up sort of a barricade or blockade on the beach using the boat and some ATVs. And as they were coming in, they had white power and some other phrases chanted at them. It was all very disturbing.
So then explain what happened. Explain when they actually physically attacked you, Vox.
So a friend and I went down to see if we could just talk to some of these folks and build a rapport and reason. The conversation was going well. Then this gentleman that with the Confederate flag hat on initially joined. He quickly became belligerent. We felt the situation devolving, so we just simply walked away. A few moments later...
Now pay attention to language. Trying to have a reasonable conversation, and he refers to them as gentlemen. And they tried to kill your ass. Literally. Lynch. You know, try to kill you in the most degrading way possible. They did millions of black men, women, and children like that here in so-called America. So pay attention to him. And like I said, look at his facial expressions. He is hung up on that title that he has. And he thought that would bring him a level of a level of protection. And even his so-called white friends, they was only going to go so far. Because you know how we get down. We would have been duking it out if it was just our folks in general and stuff. He was in immense danger. And he's trying to be reasonable. How the hell are you going to be trying to be reasonable and somebody literally want to lynch your black ass?
As we were walking away, I heard footsteps quickly approaching. This man came at me and swung his fist at me. Another gentleman came. So I was on the ground with them. A third gentleman came. We tussled for a moment. Two more men came. And from there, they were able to pin and drag my body to this tree and put their body weight on me. And as several of the folks started kicking and punching me, there was a moment where one of these gentlemen jumps on my neck with both of his feet, and I can feel his full body weight impact me. It was scary. They were literally in the video. You can hear one of the gentlemen refer to me as nappy-headed. At that time, he had his hands in my hair and was using my hair as leverage to strike me in the back of the head as his friends held me down.
And then what happened?
The noise, one of the men's daughters heard us. She came out screaming for her father to let me go, for his friends to get off me. They refused and tried to tell her to go away. More people heard the daughter screaming because we were still close to the roadside, and people were passing through. People just started coming to my defense. They yelled at the men to let me go. They came forward as these men pushed them away or swatted at them. There was a moment where I hear a lady yell out, "Don't kill him." And it's a moment where you realize that you're hearing your own potential death being narrated in front of you. And you have to be aware of George Floyd and how many other black folks in our history have heard the executions spoken before them in real time. I felt myself when I cry out, I can't breathe with the weight of these men on top of me, and I just couldn't say the words. So these folks continue to stop just merely being bystanders, as we've seen in so many videos, and actively engage and resist, and they were finally able to pull me from under these men, and then they use themselves as sort of a human shield to make sure that as these men pursued us, that I was still safe.
Did you hear one of the men on top of you talk about getting a noose as they piled on top of you at this tree?
Absolutely. So there was a point where this gentleman, as a command, tells a friend to get a noose, not get a rope, but simply get a noose, as the first term that comes into his mind, with the heavy connotation in American history with black people and lynchings. It was an odd thing to hear. Rather than even get a rope, it was just the noose was the first thing that came to his mind.
So how did the police end up coming? Did you and the others in your party call the police? And what did they do?
I know that I called the authorities. I'm not sure if other folks had already called the authorities as well. It's a state park, so the Department of Natural Resources responded. They took about 40 minutes to get there. Before they even came to see if any of us were injured, they went and spoke to these men that had attacked us first. Then about 20 minutes later, they came to us. They didn't seem very interested in actually doing an investigation. It wasn't until the white bystanders that had stayed on the beach with me just became fiercely passionate and objecting to me being treated this way and feeling like there was a miscarriage of justice, that these officers went back and got these individuals' names. Then they came and took some photographs of my injuries, but they never specifically asked me if I needed an ambulance.
You had patches of your hair pulled out?
I did have patches of hair missing. There was a moment where the commanding officer showed up and he instantly starts lecturing me on property rights. One of the things that I do in our community is I also chair the county's Affordable Housing Commission. So I've done that for 2 years, so I'm intimately acquainted with the details of property rights in our county. I pulled up the county rights, the land rights in my phone in real time to show this commanding officer that this land wasn't actually these folks' land.
Now you see, that's what he hung up on, because he let the pigs know, even though he didn't say it. He let the pigs know, oh, I got this position, and he's pulling up stuff like that, and they don't give a damn about you having an unquote position. See, he wanted to be accepted by these po white trash that's literally trying to kill him. Then he wants to be accepted by some more trash that's supposed to unquote protect and serve. And everything that they did, from the ones that tried to kill him, and then even when the pigs show up, that's exactly what they were supposed to do in this war. And he ain't getting it. He ain't getting it whatsoever. So throwing that title around didn't protect you whatsoever. As we continue on.
And as they were claiming, he still continued to berate me. I explained to him how they had literally tried to lynch me. And he said, well, I could go arrest them, but then they could say to us, well, what do you mean? We can't defend our property? And he was just fixated on this notion that somehow, even if I had been on private property, which I wasn't, that superseded the importance of my life.
So they were not arrested for assault there, and you made it out of the forest. Can you talk about what happened after this? You went to the hospital?
So the following day, I had symptoms of a concussion. I went to the emergency room. I was examined by the physician. She was enraged. She called the Department of Natural Resources herself and demanded that they return to the hospital and add a whole medical report or diagnosis into my incident report. She was very upset with the officers. She indicated that they should have offered me medical treatment at the time, that they couldn't know whether or not I had injuries because they weren't medical professionals. It was just a very disturbing situation, and it felt like not only was I attacked in the moment, but I continued to be attacked by the events that followed.
So
I honestly felt like those officers, when they showed up in the moment, would have rather arrested me than the men who attacked me.
So explain what's happened at this point. It's now a week later. Have the police arrested these men? Have they been identified? Is the FBI involved?
So the FBI is actively investigating. These men remain loose in our community, free to do whatever harm they might do to whomever they might find. I feel like the Department of Natural Resources is dragging their feet on the investigation. It's been over a week. Going back and looking at the events of the night, we also were able to realize that they didn't arrest these men who attacked me, but they arrested some folks who were skinny dipping nearby. It just seemed like my life wasn't a priority to them at any time. And at this point, I'm not sure that we can find justice in our local system. So we've asked for the federal government to step in.
And what are you demanding of the federal government? I mean, interestingly, your state, Indiana, is also Vice President Pence's state.
Yeah, so Mike Pence and I are from the same small town, Columbus, Indiana. I grew up interacting with him in various ways all through my life, and our families were acquainted. The irony is not lost on me. But the federal government has the capability to not only...
Now you see that? He done threw out another lug talking about Pence. He feel like because of the position that he has that he's protected. It would be like on the same level of a black cop that's walking around in their uniform. They feel like they protected. And there's been black cops who have had on their uniforms and got their ass whooped by their own colleagues at the end of the day. I mean, check the play. This dude is really messed up on a mental level about this. This is really deep.
Investigate this incident with me. Indiana has seen a whole string of hate-fueled assaults and violent encounters with police. It's time for the federal government with the resources and federal hate crime standards to step in and help the people of our state.
What's the prosecutor's name? What about a grand jury?
So the prosecutor's name is Erica Oliphant. We're aware of each other. We've interacted. I hosted a panel on the topic of racial justice that she attended. And I endorsed her myself. So it's painful in a way that I can't describe that here I am over a week later and there's still no justice. And as far as the grand jury goes, the grand jury is the citizens acting to indict someone. In Indiana, there's basically two ways that you can be arrested. You can have a probable cause issued by an officer that could have already been done, or you can call a grand jury and ask for the citizens to find probable cause to arrest. And Indiana doesn't do a lot of grand juries. I think it's been about 40 or 50 years in our county since we had one. But apparently, it seems that we need to do it again.
Your final comments, Vox, and what you think your parents would say. You are outspoken, even your name, Vox. Explain it.
My name, Vox, it's from the Latin for voice. There's never been a time that my parents haven't told me to speak up for what's right. My late mother encouraged me to be vocal and to stand up for others when I saw folks put down. I think that what's happening here is happening throughout the nation, where all political leaders have sown discord, where property rights are elevated over the lives of Black people. And it's time for our nation to demand a change.
Vox Booker, I want to thank you so much for being with us. We'll continue to follow up on.
Shut that down. So, there were certain things in his language. He endorsed the prosecutor. And we this and we that. He feels like he's a part of something. Like, look at this. There he is with his bullhorn. They had like this big town hall meeting and stuff. And he really think that he's really a part of the system. And from day one, he was getting nigger moment after nigger moment after nigger moment. And not realizing the immense danger he's in. And you could tell that this dude been sitting in a room somewhere crying, deeply hurt that this happened to him. Did your cooning pay off? So now we literally a year to a day, literally. Now listen to this. This shit gets really deep. When I talk about nigger moment, listen to this interview.
Now to an update on a story that we first brought you last summer when a local activist named Vox Booker said that he was jumped by a group of white men near Bloomington, Indiana on July 4th, saying that they pinned him to a tree and threatened to, quote, get a noose after they say that he and his friends trespassed on private property. You may remember this video that went viral showing part of the incident.
Let him go, dude. Let him go. Let him go, please. Let him go.
But more than a year later, Booker says that he's now facing charges himself in the altercation. Vox Booker, kind enough to join us tonight. Vox, 2 of the men involved in the altercation last year with you.
Now, did you hear that? Now he is facing charges. Now, what they did before we go further on, they had a special prosecutor come in because they claimed that the prosecutor that they had in place was using favoritism. That prosecutor didn't ever exercise anything. So I don't even know where they're coming from. So now he's being charged. And check this out. I mean, this shit is wild.
Receive felony charges and are due in court later this month. But now the special prosecutor from Monroe County has filed felony assault and misdemeanor trespassing charges against you as well. Explain why you believe this is happening.
First of all, to have charges filed against you in your own hate crime is outrageous. I believe the motivation behind this is simply that for the last year, the special prosecutor, Sonia Learcamp, has pressured me that I should forgive these men. She's talked about this idea she had of a forgiveness tool and how good it would be for the community, and seemed more concerned about that than my actual welfare.
But why do you feel that she is going forward with pressing charges against you?
I think it's an intimidation technique. I don't know if she really means to carry these all the way through, or if her intent is just to get me to back down and not make a fuss when she dismisses charges against these men.
We did reach out to the Monroe County Special Prosecutor's Office, and she said that she is, quote, ethically restrained from commenting upon the evidence prior to trial, and that she is, quote, doing my best to apply the law to the facts. What evidence do you have to back your claim that these charges are being filed because you didn't participate in the restorative justice effort?
Well, one of the things is the participation agreement itself that was first drafted. The first draft that she gave me locked me into confidentiality. It contractually obligated me to agree with the dismissal of charges, and it dictated that I would participate in a joint press conference.
Now, David Hennessy, the attorney for two of the other parties, had no comment on your charges, but has said in the past that you were, quote, the instigator and the agitator, and that you punched one of the men 3 times and had to be restrained. What's your response to that?
It's the oldest trope in the book that the black man is the aggressor. It would ask one to believe that I would go up to a group of drunken white men wearing Confederate flag hats and grossly outnumbered and suddenly start assaulting them.
So you're saying that you never punched anyone there?
No, so the initial confrontation started after I walked away. It was obvious that it was going to potentially be a dangerous situation. I walked away. The gentleman, I use that term loosely, stalked me like an animal through the woods, caught me from behind, and assaulted me. And so,
but a lot of people are going to say, though, but did you punch them? And so I just want to get just a no or yes answer to that.
Well, I think I did what you or any sensible person would do. When you're attacked by a group of people fighting for your life, of course you're going to tussle back and forth and try to just stay alive any way you can.
And you've been charged with trespassing on that property in the past. You have said that organizers of the event that you were attending gave you permission to walk through. Will you be able to prove that?
Both the Department of Natural Resources and the FBI have confirmed that I was attacked on public land. The issue of trespassing is that while I was crossing through the property earlier in the day, was whether or not I was trespassing. And yes, I can confirm that the event organizer gave me permission. He had received permission from the landowner. We actually have it in writing.
Just wanted to get you to kind of give us a deeper dive for this quote that you gave. You said there's nothing more American than charging a black man in his own attempted lynching.
Dr. King called blackness in America a stigmata. From the very founding documents of our nation, black folks were rendered as not only less than a person, but as property. So when we have these issues of property rights, whether we're talking about folks protesting in the streets, whether we're talking about whether or not I was trespassing on someone's land, the idea that property is somehow tantamount to the worth of my life is very American. And honestly, some folks feel like the only thing that happened that was wrong was that these men should have succeeded when they attacked me and accused me of trespassing on their property.
And Mr. Hennessy also said last year that you were, quote, putting forth a false narrative about that day, a year after what you say was a threatened lynching. What do you want people to know about that day and its impact on you and beyond?
You know, I felt safe in my community. I am a respected figure. I've been a public figure, a human rights commissioner. Never did I imagine that folks would attack me and beat me and threaten me with the noose in 2000.
See what I said? A respected. He said respected member. He felt safe. He don't understand a white supremacist system. He been working with them that long. He been using their language, eating with them, possibly sleeping with them, commingling with them, and that title really jacked his head up. He can't get past that. And he keeps throwing that out there. And let's let it finish so I can bring this to the conclusion, because we just got a few minutes of this left.
2020. I need folks to understand that these are issues that are still happening, that it's very important that we still are pushing society forward. We saw the passage of Stop Asian Hate Act in record time, but for decades we haven't been able to pass a federal anti-lynching act. We have to understand that this hate can't be tolerated.
Mr. Vox Booker, so appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for coming on the show.
So, they further victimize him, which, like I said, was totally wrong. But in certain situations, we need to put a spotlight on a situation like this, because we got some of our folks out here not getting it. They really not getting it. And things are happening in real time. And you think because you got an unquote position, and this is high profile, even with it's nationwide, is being watched, and they gonna clown him and want him to forgive them and go on press conferences and do a tour and all of that. So they're not interested, because they could have expedited this stuff. They're not interested in resolving this whatsoever. And it is getting to his psyche that what's going on? I got this position. I endorsed you. Pence, family, we have intermingled together. All these things you have done through your career, and you still get a nigga moment. You could have gotten killed, brother. This ain't no plaything out here. You know, I know we got to work with them, but we don't have to kick it with them. You do your job, you keep it moving and all of that. So they clown you even further. They re-victimize you through the whole entire process. And you still ain't got it a year later. Now they're charging you because you won't go alone and get along now. Now, one thing that I can say in his behalf, because I did a lot of research on this, he won't shut up. You know, he fighting back and stuff. And the FBI is involved in this. But I don't hold a lot of credence with them too as well, because usually they just follow suit, whatever the prosecutor do and all of that kind of stuff. But the ones that victimize him, they sitting at home twiddling their thumb. And I think some of them was connected with some people with the city or something like that. I think when that first went down, I remember researching something like that on that level. But like I said, I went to his Facebook, and now all on his Facebook, all you see is just a bunch of black stuff. When I first went to his Facebook, he was saturated around the enemy, and dude just some of them will never ever get it. He's a poor example of trying to teach our royals anything. You done pissed all on yourself. You walking around all slow. I would have got my ass up out of there. When did that, once you was cut loose, when did fear kick in? Like, I got to, get on, on my legs and run. That ain't being a pump. You don't got no gun or nothing. You get your ass up out of there. You got homeboy with his shirt off, red and raging and stuff like that. They wanted to kill his ass. So, I know it may be harsh in what I'm saying, but sometimes True Royal has to go that route to wake up someone and to keep our heads also on a swivel. And I'm not talking down to anyone here, because most of the people that support this channel, they know what time it is. We pretty much think alike. So it's going to be really interesting, because I can't wait to read the comments on this one And please be authentic. I want truth. Tell me if I'm way out of pocket. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me, hey, True Roy, you looking at this wrong. I could be looking at this wrong, way too wrong and stuff. But I just don't have a great deal of sympathy. And, he could have lost his life. This shit is tragic. This is really tragic. But it don't pay off cooning. Having a position in this system, that's just a way for you to put some food on the table. You don't have to be all up in their lives like that. So I'm going to leave it there, my royal family. So render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.